You are listening to Peak One Sports.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Sports Page right here on the Peak One Sports Network. I'm Ashton, and sitting with me here as always is Chris. What's going on, Chris?
How you doing? Everything all right?
Oh yeah, man, it's getting hot.
Yes.
It's definitely getting hot here in Texas, which you were very familiar with. Heat index is like in the 120s this week.
Yeah, I know here, like, once it gets over, like, 60, 65, everyone thinks it's hot here. But I'm like, you know, I talk to my family every day, and they're, it's in the heat index 110, 115. I'm like, yeah, all right. I don't really miss that. I miss Texas. I don't really miss the heat, though.
Yeah, well, the weird thing is, in general, it's more of a dry heat in Texas. I guess it's compared to where you are. I mean, like,
Yeah.
Arizona, no, Texas is not a dry heat, but like compared to Houston or something, it very much is. It's not typically that humid, but we've gotten a lot of rain lately. So, and the heat I remember thinking, man, it's already June and we hadn't had a really hot day. And then all of a sudden it just hits us in 100 degrees with like 70% humidities. It's pretty rough. It's feeling like Houston up
That's
here.
rough. Yeah, that's definitely rough. And you can't really do anything in that. You can just
Nope.
really kind of just have to stay inside, truthfully.
I went for a jog yesterday, and it's not too bad when you know you're working out. Like you don't mind sweating and all that. It's not as uncomfortable as opposed to when you're out, like you go out to eat and you sit outside or whatever. It's not as fun sweating when you're doing other things other than working out.
Right. Yeah. That's tough. Yeah. We tried to make the most of it over the weekend. We, went by the pool. I grilled because it's pleasant. It's like 75, 80.
Yeah.
Like it's pretty pleasant here. So I couldn't even imagine being in one like 100 plus. But
Yeah,
I think I'll probably come up there in a couple of weeks. So I have to get ready for it.
Yeah, hopefully it's I know the temperature here, not this weekend, but I mean it's an extended forecast so it could change, but I think the high next Thursday and Friday is like 111. Not heat index, that's the high. So the heat index if it still is humid, there might be a couple chances for rain, which would suck.
Yeah.
And the next week, but we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, we went to a water park here locally this past weekend. We usually get season passes too, so it wasn't too bad. I didn't think it was really all that hot because I was in and out of water the whole time.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was crazy. It was my son who just turned 10 started getting interested in the big rides.
Oh, okay.
Well, this place there's not a lot of rides. It's more slides and things like that. It's a water park. But yeah, he wanted to go down this tall slide thing, which I didn't like because it was rough on me. Like it goes down really fast and then kind of levels off and then down and then it does that 3 times at the bottom. It just hit me hard. And they told you tuck your elbows in and I kind of let mine slide out. It got like not like carpet burn because it wasn't carpet, but it was like that kind of feeling.
Yeah, it hurts.
Yeah, and then we went down a couple of other ones where you take tubes down, and they were really fun and really fast. And then he wanted to go down just the drop, which
he got more heart than me. I don't remember loving slides like that back in the day. Like
I think I used to do that, and then the thing is, all the slides are. I don't know how many stories up, probably 3 stories up.
Yeah.
But I looked at my watch because I get my Apple Watch on. And it said I climbed like 30 flights of stairs that day.
Man.
But every time we had to go up a bunch of stairs.
Yeah.
So he the last thing he wanted to do was that slide. And I'm like, you can do it, but I'm going to stay down here because I don't want to go all the way up there and you chicken out. And then but he convinced me to go up there with him. He's like, no. I'll go first and everything.
Mm-hmm.
so I don't have to come back and get him if, he chickens out.
Mm-hmm.
No, but he got on there. He looked down. I said, "You all right?" Because I'm thinking like, you don't want to freak him out. You don't want to like. I'm completely fine if he chickens out.
Mm-hmm.
He did a lot
Mm-hmm.
of big rides, and I'm like, I really don't want to do this.
Yeah.
So like, hopefully he chickens out, and I can't. But I
Yeah.
can't, as the father, I can't say,
Right.
"Kid, we can't do it."
Yeah.
After he's begging me, and I'm like, "All right," I go out there. I can't chicken out, and I said, he looks down. I said, "Are you scared?" He said, "Yeah, but I'm gonna do it." I'm like, "Okay." And he
All
gets
right.
down
Yeah.
there. She pushes him down. I'm like, "Oh crap, here we go."
Man, you
So
got
I
to do
did.
it
It,
too.
it wasn't that bad, but that was one when I hit it. It hit pretty hard too. I don't know if I'm like sitting up or something at the last second.
Mhm. Yeah.
But man, they hurt. I'm just getting old, I guess.
Yeah, I haven't been to a water park in a long time, but it definitely I miss those days. I used to get on the slides, but not like the huge ones. I got on them, but I was never a fan. My little brother is like the daredevil. He loves roller coasters, all the big slides. He gets on a Titan a million times when he goes to Six Flags. So like I've never been that person at all.
Yeah, well, we went to Hurricane Harbor when I was a kid, and they
Hmm.
had I mean, they had, I guess, small slides. I haven't been there in forever.
Hmm.
But my family would just go find their place kind of at the lagoon area. We'd swim, and if you want to go ride big rides, you do that. At this one, they had like the kids side and then the regular side with the lazy river and the big slides. But the kids
Yeah.
side had pretty decent slides. That's where we went
Hmm.
because we also have a 5-year-old, and he
Hmm.
goes down all the little kiddie slides. But I mean, they're they're good
Pretty
slides,
solid. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that
Hmm.
we'd all ride down, and they're kind of fun to me. I'm like, okay, that's
Yeah.
fine.
Hmm.
Now we don't do those anymore. Well, my 5-year-old will, because he's not going to be big enough to ride the bigger rides. But
Hmm.
now that my older son got to ride all the big ones, because we went back and went down a few more slides because my 5-year-old wanted to do that before we left, and he's like, yeah, these aren't fun anymore when you get on the
Right.
big ones. And
Oh man.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, so that's going to be our thing when we go now. Is my wife stays with my 5-year-old at the kiddie side, and then we're going to go ride
Hmm.
all the big rides.
Got you. Yeah. Got a little mix. I like that. That's cool.
Yeah. Well, thanks for tuning in to this episode. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to subscribe, comment, and hit the notification button so you get alerted every time not only us, the sports page, comes on, but all of our other shows on the Peak One Sports Network.
Hmm.
And if you happen to be listening on any podcast platform we happen to be on, thank you. Go ahead and follow us and share on social media tag us in there and tell us what platform you are listening on. Give us a
Yeah.
little bit of data back there. Today we got a couple of basketball related topics. Real quick, I mean, we have to bring it up. It's happening this week, the NBA draft.
Mm.
Um, I can't remember a time, which I talked about it a few episodes ago with Victor Wembanyama,
Hmm.
comparing him to the biggest prospect since LeBron James.
Yeah.
Um, Even the NFL draft, we thought we're pretty sure Young was going number one overall. We're
Yeah.
about 90% sure, but there was still that doubt. Is there any doubt that Wembanyama does not? Is there any way San Antonio doesn't
Nah.
take him number one?
Yeah. No. It's not a doubt. It's. I haven't. I was trying to think of like the last year where it was like a no doubt number one. I still can't like since since LeBron. I'm sure there's been people like from like '04 to like now that went number one. I just haven't like off the top of my head. I can't really think of one. But yeah, it's already like a done deal. They. I think the Spurs account even tweeted something about like him being a Spur, and you know I I, I would be shocked if they didn't. But he for sure going number one.
Yeah, I have to say the same thing. I completely agree. Not necessarily because I believe Wembanyama is
Hmm.
the greatest thing since LeBron James. He might be. I'm not saying he's not.
Yeah.
Um, I kind of on the train. We're like, slow down. I mean, there's no point in saying he's going to be the greatest ever. or the greatest prospect ever. I guess he is. I mean, he's a prospect. Whether he could completely bomb in the NBA, but he's still the greatest prospect since LeBron James. That is true. But ever since, I mean, the Spurs have to take him.
They have to.
Whether they may not believe he's the greatest either, but when you look at how things have gone and evolved in sports, where I remember an interview where Terry Bradshaw was talking about if he was a quarterback today, he'd never make it because he gave us terrible stats for his rookie season. He threw twice as many interceptions as he did touchdowns. Said they don't give quarterbacks time. They don't give coaches time. They don't give anybody time. And it's not analytics necessarily that's saying, hey, you have to do. It's the PR of it all, the public relations. Hey, we have to, the GMs especially say, I have a certain amount of time to get this done or I'm going to lose my job.
Yeah. So, and Peyton Manning was the same way too. His first year wasn't but now it's just so many other things that are like.
It shouldn't matter what the fans think or what the media thinks, but it does.
Yeah.
So let's say San Antonio, for whatever reason, doesn't believe Wembanyama is all that great. There's not really a number 2 player. So this is a bad draft to use as an example, but let's say there's a number 2 player that's really good and they have him ranked higher, which it happens all the time. I don't think every NFL team had Bryce Young ranked as their top player necessarily. It doesn't mean they wouldn't take him number 1 overall. I assume every NBA team has Wembanyama as their top ranked player. But let's say San Antonio thought somebody else was better. They took him. And Wembanyama just goes off, has the Hall of Fame career he was supposed to have.
Yeah.
The Spurs, it's Sam Bowie all over again. You know, not taking Jordan. But the Spurs take Wembanyama, and he doesn't pan out well. He just doesn't live up to the hype. Nobody's really blaming the Spurs because you had to do that. Nobody blames the Portland Trailblazers for taking Greg Oden over Kevin Durant. Because he was ranked right there with Kevin Durant. It was pretty much a sure thing. You pick either one of these guys. Now, in that sense, it looks worse because nobody would have blamed you either if you'd have taken Kevin Durant.
Number 1.
And Greg Oden would have had a great career because there were 2 of them. But here it's Wembanyama and nobody. It's 5 miles. 5 miles before you even get to the next player, according to
Brandon Miller. I think Brandon Miller is the second person that's projected to go. Yeah, and he's good. He's just not.
He's not Wembanyama.
He's good, but he's just not that. I think it's like one other person out of the Ignite, the G League that they have. But no, it's really not close. And you have to, like you said, like it's just one of those things where he might not even be a great fit for your organization, like it's just best player available. You have to do it, and then wherever the chips fall, that's where they fall. So, I would be shocked if they didn't. But I'm excited about him. I watched his highlights. I've never watched a game of his.
Yeah.
It's just a whole. He's 7'4", and every 7'2" plus prospect in recent history has gotten hurt. Like Chet for OKC, he hasn't played yet.
I mean, even Yao Ming, he lived up to the hype. He was an all-star top player for a few years, and his body couldn't keep up. I mean, I think I read something that I'm pretty sure I mentioned it on that episode when I talked about Wembanyama, was that no player over 7'2", meaning 7'3" and above, has played more than 1,000 games in the league, which, I mean, that's not, I mean, that's 10 years in the league. It's not nothing.
That's a 10-year career. That's still though.
But to say there's been none of them. Nobody's played that long.
You'll want your star player to play 10 plus years with you. So
you think Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, he played forever. But I forget how tall he was. I mean, obviously
I think he was 7'1".
Yeah, he wouldn't have been that tall. But I mean, hey, it apparently it happens. And Wembanyama is a different breed because he can shoot, dribble, pass, play defense, play everything. So maybe
Dunk
maybe it's a
without a
thing
dunk.
where we're kind of getting into a new era of basketball where when you're over 7'2", that you're not always right there battling Shaquille O'Neal and putting all that
Yeah,
damage on your body. Maybe I'm not sure, but
I mean,
although
I would
I'm not
want
a
my
Spurs fan, I'm
17.
a Mavericks fan. I hope Wembanyama has a great career. I hope he's a generational type player that we get
Hmm.
to enjoy watching. And
Yeah,
hopefully he doesn't beat up on the Mavs too much.
yeah. I think they gotta like they need a lot. They definitely need a lot. Um, he does help. I think by himself, if he stays healthy and plays, he'll add 10 or 15 wins. Just off of him being just talented enough and fitting well, scoring when they couldn't score. Because I watched quite a few Spurs games last year, randomly, and
Yeah.
they just struggled to score. It was like up and down, up and down. They need like a consistent scorer, and you know, they just need someone that they can give the ball to and put the ball in the hole. But we'll see, we'll see. I'm excited though to see what he does against like physical players. The Kawhi Leonards. I know he's going to try to guard him. Players that try to get under him and that are strong. So we'll see.
Yeah, there's a bad track record for a lot of European players going and playing against, coming here and playing against NBA play. I was gonna say
Yeah,
professional players. I didn't mean to
yeah,
start anything. Obviously, they play professional players in Europe, but
right.
playing NBA players and not
Hmm.
European players. I mean, obviously the guys that stand out: Dirk, Luca,
Hmm.
Giannis. Um,
Manu, yeah.
yeah, there are a lot,
Yeah, and they
but
struggled at the beginning though. They didn't just come in and just straight. The only person that probably has done that is Luca. They just come and just straight dominate.
yeah,
Dirk
for sure.
struggled in the
Yeah, it
early
took
years.
Dirk kind of slowly went into
Yeah, it
that
took them like
mold.
three, 2 or 3
Obviously, he was a
years.
superstar, but he
Mm-hmm.
was looked at as soft for a very long time before he finally won a
Yeah,
championship.
put him on him. Hmm.
And even he played for extremely long. I mean, 21 years is a long
21
time
years.
to play, and
Mm-hmm.
that's with the accumulation of all those stats. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, for a while, it was. I remember watching. I mean, because it was kind of like this situation,
Mm-hmm.
the LeBron James draft, and how the Grizzlies almost got the number one pick. They were I think the chances were they were supposed to get the fourth or fifth pick, but they had traded that pick away unless it was the number one pick.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and they ended up getting all the way to the bottom where they were doing the
The last,
lottery,
yeah,
and it was the
yeah.
Grizzlies and the Cavs, and they almost got it. So they pretty much lost
Yeah,
that. They got the second pick, but that went to
yeah.
Detroit, and they took Darko Milicic.
Darko Milicic, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which that's another player that
Yeah. But
more often
what
than
saved
not that they
them?
fail.
Yeah, what saved Detroit that year? Just a quick, like they won the championship that next year. So I guess it kind of them not taking Carmelo or Dwayne Wade. I guess it worked out in their favor, and because they won that next year. So, but yeah,
Or they won in spite of that fact. But
yeah, yeah, in
you're
spite of that.
right, Dwayne. I mean, it took Wade a few years to win a championship. Carmelo never won a championship.
Hmm.
It's hard to say because basketball is one of those sports that one player makes a difference for the better
Yeah,
or for the worse.
hmm,
Uh,
yeah,
Not that Wade or Carmelo, are bad teammates in any sense, but it might not have jived right because that Detroit team, uh, that's one maybe like you go back to all the championship teams. I think that one is looked at as what they didn't have any of they were the only one in the last however long that didn't have a top 75 all-time
yeah. Top
player.
25, yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
they didn't have any surefire superstars. It was just kind of all really
Is
good.
that the only team that might be the only one?
I just remember that was the last one.
The
I
last
don't know
one,
how
yeah,
far,
and that's
but you go
almost 20
before
years
that,
ago.
you have all the Lakers championships, you
Yeah,
have the Bulls championships,
yeah.
you have the Rockets.
Spurs,
So all of those players, yeah, I don't know
Rockets.
how far back it went before you found a player who wasn't on,
Man, I never even. Yeah, that's crazy.
or
Yeah,
is it the top 75 or the 75th?
yeah, top
Well, top
75.
75
Yeah.
for the 75th anniversary. Yeah,
Hmm.
they were the only. They may have been the only team, but they were definitely the last team to have won a
Yeah,
championship without that.
yeah. Because every other team, it was either the Spurs, LeBron, or Warriors, they had Steph Curry.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
ridiculous. I don't want to get too far off topic, but it was
Yeah.
I think 2010 may have been the end of it. I don't remember, but every Western Conference Finals, or no, every NBA Finals had a team from the Western Conference that were either the Spurs, the Mavericks, or the Lakers
Mm-hmm.
for like 20 years. And you may have
Yeah.
throw another team in there too, but
Mm-hmm.
it was kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, that's wild. Yeah.
Staying with basketball, the Washington Wizards announced that they're offering courtside sections next season, starting at $130,000 per season. In a press release, Senior Vice President of Wizards ticket sales and service, Bill Haney, said, "We know that Washington, D.C. is a market that values premium hospitality and exclusive experiences. And as an organization, we strive to provide the best possible experience for all premium seat holders. Demand for Wizards VIP seating products has far outpaced availability and inventory for several years now. And we are thrilled to be able to introduce this new and unique game day experience to our fans." That's interesting because I don't think their VIP seating demand will be as high now they traded away Beal, and they're pretty much blowing up the team, it looks like.
Yeah. Well, they got Chris Paul.
There's no way Chris Paul
You're right.
plays.
Yeah, no.
Especially since they're not going
I'll
to be
retire.
Yeah, they're not even
I'll-
trying. I think the latest, which it changes every couple of hours, was that he was going to get bought out and go try to play for either the Lakers or the Clippers. If he can, but buying him out apparently is a big deal that now they're looking for, because the trade hasn't officially gone through. It will, but they're waiting to see if they can bring a third team in and just go ahead and trade. I don't know all the analytics and all the numbers with the NBA and the CBA where why can't you just trade him and then trade him again? But apparently they have to do it with 3-team trade or just buy him out. But there's, I mean,
that's a weird.
I know you were laughing as a joke. Yeah, even with Chris Paul, there's nothing.
Those 130,000. So is it? Because I was looking at pictures while you were saying it.
Yeah.
So
I was going to put a picture up here, but it would mess with the feng shui of our presentation and you wouldn't be able to see it anyways. But if you want to go see it, go to, especially if you're listening on a podcast platform right now, go to our Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever, just at Peak One Sports. And we have the picture posted there. The court side, you say court side, but they're really the end of the court. Are those even considered court side?
Nah.
They're not the side of the court, you know.
Yeah,
when you think courtside seats, you're thinking like right
next to This it's cool. It'd be a cool thing. Like 130,000 is just way too much for that team and just the like it's a cool idea. Like 130,000 if you do that for like a Lakers game or but DC is a big market. It's a great sports market. But are the Wizards like, I know right now they're not, I mean, I guess they've been trying to contend their mediocrity. But are the Wizards one of those teams that you didn't even they're not. No, the Wizards haven't been. The last time the Wizards were like relevant,
their uniforms are.
They were in the playoffs. They were in the playoffs a few years ago, but
maybe Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan was the biggest they've been, I think, and they were like 12, 13 games under 500.
Yeah, when they wore green and gold uniforms, that's when they were more relevant.
The Gilbert Arenas.
Yeah. Interesting that the situation he got involved in and what the team used to be called.
Oh yeah.
I'm not saying that just because of YouTube deals. We're not, certain words we can't say on YouTube. I have no problem saying them, but so these so-called courtside lofts, which are really behind the basket, will include table seating for up to 6 people. As you can see in the picture, if you go look at the picture, I guess there's 10. I'm not looking at it right now, but it says it
Mm-hmm.
each, the whole thing will seat 60. So I guess 10 tables.
10 tables. Yeah.
These seat holders will get VIP benefits. They will also get a complimentary 5-course fine dining menu.
I mean,
Like
if
I
you
said, there
split
will be
it,
60 people for each game. Well, let me get down the numbers and you can finish your thought. So $130,000 a season. That's about $21,660
mhm,
per person per season,
yeah,
or just over $528 per game. Which that in itself doesn't sound terrible.
yeah, it doesn't
If
sound
you
too
think I
bad.
want to pay five, I mean you could pay. I mean, except that it's the Wizards and they might not be
Yeah.
competitive at all next year.
Mm-hmm.
But for a game and you're getting a 5-course meal and
Mm-hmm.
really good seats, but uh, it would be hard for, I mean, of course, this isn't for normal NBA fans at all. It'd be hard to go for the entire season. Now, I can see businesses or just wealthy people who don't really care buying
Yeah.
this out like season ticket holders do and
Yeah.
then selling those tickets. And
Mm-hmm.
I could definitely see somebody say, hey, I'll spend $600, get to
Mm-hmm.
go. You know, maybe if you split the seats up, you just don't know who you're going to be sitting with.
Yeah. Yeah. That's that's I don't want to say that's a good deal.
I
And
mean,
I didn't realize it had like a full 5-course meal, and
what's a 5-course? It says
so I think you
fine
get
dining menu. What would value would that have?
that'd be about a good meal, a good 5-course
A
meal is about 150,
fine
200.
dining.
Yeah, probably like 200
Yeah,
per
200.
person
So you're saying per game, 330 to 350 just for the ticket.
just for the ticket, and
So
then
again,
you.
when you break it down, the value isn't terrible,
Hmm.
but you're gonna, yeah, it's
Yeah,
for
and
every
I'm sure
game
they
for
factor
all
all that
season,
in.
and you're talking about
Yeah.
6 people, so it's not like you're going to be going to be able to go buy a chair for this. You would
Hmm.
have to have somebody buy it and then sell it out. And excuse me, in this case, the Wizards might not allow that. Just
Yeah.
selling random seats to you, like, no, you have to buy it. They're yours. You can give them to your friends, but you can't
Right.
sell seats. I don't know that to be a fact, but I would assume you're trying to make this VIP experience, fine dining, that you're not just going to let Joe Schmo buy a $600 ticket for one
Yeah,
game
and then
and
just
be
kind of
there.
just sit with one seat, and then he'd be with strangers. That's funny. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, you would have to probably buy the full table, and then because that just makes the most sense because you don't want just strangers sitting with strangers, and yeah, yeah, I
And you
can see that.
think, okay,
Not bad. Not bad.
let's say you're high profile politicians, businessmen, whatever, buy a
Mhm.
ticket. They're fans of basketball, whatever. They like, being there and it helps their image or whatever.
Mhm.
They have their seat, and then there's a seat down there that some company bought, and they're sending Joe Schmoes, whoever,
Mhm.
there. And rich people don't like to mingle with us regular
Yeah,
folk.
yeah,
Uh, I that's why I say I could imagine it being in general a problem. I mean, but
yeah.
I think this would be great at a Lakers game because they would
That'd be
sell out
so
like
cool.
nothing. Jack Nicholson would go get
Oh,
his
so
seat
yeah,
up there. The
that would
Knicks,
be.
there's plenty of moguls in New York that don't even
Mhm.
care about basketball, but they want to be there.
Yeah, and 130,000 is like so they can just yeah. So that would be pretty cool. I wish it just wasn't Washington. I don't know. I just don't really. We'll see. I'm sure. I'm sure they have like those type of people, like celebrities, and
I mean, it's
they have like
Washington D.C.
yeah, DC. I'm sure they have some politicians or
Yeah,
something. So
I have no doubt that it'll sell out. Maybe, I mean, he was talking about the demand was high for VIP seating. Maybe not the demand was high to go to a Wizards game,
right, okay, that makes more sense. Yeah,
but you know, your senator
yeah,
over here might think it looks
yeah.
better. Like hey, here's a photo op. I'm sitting in the VIP section at a Wizards game.
Hmm.
The Betalytics dashboards allow you to quickly identify the top graded best bets and hottest trends. Use promo code PEAK1 for 25% off when you sign up today. If you notice, I have my new Betalytics hat they sent
I
in.
gotta get one of those.
Yeah, we're gonna send some of these out to some of our unique listeners,
Gotcha.
we'll say VIP listeners. And
Hmm.
when we get to that 100 subscriber challenge, we get that completed, we're going to send out a package that will include one of these hats, but I'll see about getting you one as well, Chris.
Okay, man. Thank you.
Yeah, go to betalytics.com to start betting smarter.
All right. Yeah. So I have my top 5 power rankings that I put out. I put them out last night. Also, just quick consideration for these teams because they didn't make my top 5. I'll talk about them after. So, number 5, I had the Diamondbacks. Number 4, I had Baltimore. Number 3, I had Texas. Atlanta shot up to number 2, and then Tampa Bay stayed at number 1. So, isn't a lot of this flip flop within the top 5. Atlanta's won 6 straight games, so they and they beat some pretty solid teams. So they just kind of shot up to number 2. Texas lost a series to the Angels, who are in my special consideration right here. They fell at number 6, but the Rangers, one of the best teams in the league. I actually went to the White Sox Rangers game last night.
Oh, nice.
And watched them for the first. Yeah, so they pulled it out. They won 5-2, but the Angels, they beat Texas in the series. They won 3 out of 4. So they were number 6. And then these, 4 or 5 teams. So just special consideration. So Philly won 6 straight. Miami's won 5 straight. Cincinnati's won 9 straight.
Yeah, since he shot up there, I know the NL Central is kind of a weak division right now, but they're in first place now as of the time we're doing the show.
Yep. San Francisco, I believe it won 8 straight, and then Boston has won 5 straight. So, just those teams, they were, my 5 have been the 5 pretty much all year, but these teams are, definitely creeping up. I know some teams have fallen out. Pittsburgh has fallen out. The Astros have fallen out, but, we'll see. It's, right now, I think, that you are who you are at this point. So, you're not going to – I feel like the teams are who they are, but a lot of teams are picking up steam. Like you said, Cincinnati, they've won 9 straight games. They're first in their division right now. So, we'll see. It's getting pretty interesting.
Yeah, you can't ignore what the Diamondbacks are doing. I know the Giants are on a big win streak, and they just swept the Dodgers. We all experts thought the NL West, even though the Dodgers seem like they kind of had a slow offseason, and then we're going to be back in full force, they still thought, they're going to win the NL West. And then they had been in first place for most of the year. Yeah. Now the Diamondbacks are, but the Giants had made that run, but the Diamondbacks are still in first place. So even though the Giants are playing good, you kind of have to give it the Diamondbacks right now. But the Giants are doing great. And Atlanta early on had been so good, and they kind of gotten annulled, but they've come back. And then Texas, of course, has just been doing it all year.
Yeah,
they did
they're
lose
really
that
good.
series,
Josh Young, he's
rookie of the year. I mean, no doubt right now. We'll see how it pans out. But lost the series to the Angels, but the Angels have been really surprising this year too. And really, their only bad slide was when the Rangers were swept by the Reds, which the Reds were a much worse team back then. But now they're charging forward. Interesting, they're playing the Rangers playing the White Sox right now. The White Sox look like they're in a tailspin, but they're only a few games out of first because they're in the terrible AL Central where I think it's the Twins are in first place, and they have a losing record right now.
Losing record, yeah. The White Sox, the Rangers they were in control pretty much all game. It was pretty much like, I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, so it was 1-0, like 1 out at the very beginning of the game, and they were up 3-0 all game. If I'm not mistaken, it was the 6th inning, and then the Sox hit back-to-back home runs. And so it was 3-2, and then Rangers got the bases loaded whenever they brought out Bummer and, hit one in the gap. They got 2 in and then kind of closed it out. So they almost gave it away because they had bases loaded in the 8th inning, bottom of the 8th, and they got out of the jam. So, But it was a good game. It was, it was boring at first, then back-to-back home runs, everybody's excited.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a good game. It was fun. I might try to go to one more before they leave, so probably like Wednesday, but probably tomorrow. So we'll see if I go make it out. But
yeah, the Rangers obviously have been great all year. What really separates the surprising teams who are they really this good or are they not are okay when they get in a lull or a downturn, how quickly do they get back out of it? Because you saw with the Pirates started off the best record in the league, and now they're just not doing great. They couldn't get out of that lull. Tampa just continues to keep going, but the Rangers, they had a few series where they were teetering there, and then they come out and win 2 or 3 from the Blue Jays, who are doing pretty good too. They're playing in a very competitive division. And the White Sox, yeah, we'll see. But yeah, they won a game against them where now I think they've won 3 in a row. The Rangers have. So, and yeah, we can't talk much about Tampa. They just continue to dominate. Yeah. You're just waiting for them to fall off, but they really hadn't.
Yeah. They're kind of in a, I guess they plateaued a little bit. They're 5-5 in the last 10, but they just haven't fallen far enough for me to like get them out of the top spot. They've been number 1 all year, and they're just
dominating again in that competitive AL East, just dominating. And then of course you have the Orioles there. The Orioles in a weird position because they're just in second place, but it's because Tampa's right in front of them.
Yeah,
they're doing everything they can, but Tampa won't lose enough games for them to catch up.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Sports Page on the Peak One Sports Network. Next week, we're going to talk some sports movies, some maybe lesser known sports movies, not as popular as your normal Rudies and things like that. But we'll get into that next week. We have a few for you. We have room to add more. If somebody wants to add another one, comment down below if you want to make sure we get the sports movie you want us to talk about. But until next time, I'm Ashton.
All right, I'm Chris. See you guys.
See you guys.